Is Mercury retrograde over yet? Because I'm just about over this shit. Hey guys, what's up? It's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. Alright, it's February 28th. It's the last day of the month. You guys know the drill. This is my monthly reading wrap-up. So this month was mentally and physically and emotionally draining, and I'm just exhausted, and I'm just going to start by saying that the first half of this month was a lot better reading than the second half of the month. I don't even want to talk about the second half of the month. Okay, so the first book I read, technically 95% of this book was read in January. I just didn't finish it until February, and that was Flock by Kate Stewart. This is the first book in the Ravenhood trilogy. I rated this a 3.75. I really liked the ending. However, the build-up, I kind of thought it was really slow, and I didn't think things started taking off until like certain sharing things were happening, if you catch my drift. So yes, I rated this a 3.75. I really like the ending. I am going to continue on with the series, but like I said, this was just a little bit slow for me with the setup. Okay, this next one, I'm not going to talk too much about it because I've already rambled on about it in 2 other videos, and that is All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. I read this as a buddy read for the first week of February, and I rated it infinity stars. I still think about this book daily. I still go to sleep dreaming about Tobias Rhodes. Yes, this is the perfect book. It is a slow burn, grumpy sunshine, single father trope, wilderness mountain men, which by the way is my new favorite rec. So yes, this was infinity stars. Okay, then the next 3 books I actually read are a series, and I read them on KU, but I was so obsessed with them I had to order the physical copies, and that is The Miles High Club by T L Swan. There are supposed to be 4 books in the series, but right now there are only 3 out, and oh my god, these are amazing. Oh, you need to go pick these up if you have not read them yet. So the first book, The Stopover, is going to cover Jameson Miles. The Miles brothers, you know, they're all rich CEOs. They own their family company. Jameson is the oldest, so he, you know, has the most responsibilities and everything. So he meets Emily, and in the very beginning of the book, they meet each other on a flight. Something happens to her luggage or something, and so she gets upgraded to first class. They sit next to each other, they have some nice conversations, they bond, and then their flight ends up getting a stopover somewhere else where it wasn't supposed to land because of a snowstorm. They have one very incredible night together, and then they don't see each other for a year. 1 year later, Emily moves to New York. She gets a new job, and she is working for none other than Jameson Miles. So this is going to be a workplace romance, and I was beyond obsessed with this book. This is one of those over-the-top male protagonists, and he was so obsessed with her, and I was here for it. I mean, it was probably unhealthy, but I was here for it. I devoured this book in 1 day. Like, that's how much I loved it. And then, I'm not even kidding, after I finished that book, 5 minutes later, I downloaded The Takeover on my Kindle, and this was even better than the first book. So this one follows the second-born son, Tristan Miles. Tristan meets Claire Anderson. She is a 37-year-old single mother with 3 boys. Now, she was 4 years older than Tristan, which I really liked. Both the characters were older. She had older kids. It was something different, and I really enjoyed it. Claire is trying to keep her late husband's company still afloat, and Tristan kind of comes over and offers to, you know, buy the company out and everything. So that's how they meet each other, and his interactions with her sons are some of my favorites in this book, and it's about a broken family and building a new one, and I was beyond obsessed with this book. I rated this one a 4.5 star. The only reason I didn't rate it a 5 is because I'm gonna be honest and say that homegirl Claire, she pissed me off. Like, a lot of her reasoning and thinking towards the end really, really, really pissed me off. So I had to dock it half a star for that. But overall, 4.5. I loved it. And then after I finished that one, I went with book 3, The Casanova, which follows Elliot Miles. Elliot is the CEO of the London company. And once again, we're going to have another workplace romance. But this is an enemies to lovers. It's him and Kate. He and Kate hate each other. She's very nerdy. She works, I think, in the tech department of the company, and they just do not like each other. Now, this book also has a whole other plot going on where Elliot has been searching for this artist that has been inspiring him for like over a decade or something like that. And there's a plot twist in it, and I really, really enjoyed this one. So this one was, I think, a 4.25 stars for me, but I still loved it. And overall, all 3 of these books live in my mind rent free. Like, this is why I had to purchase them. I am going to go back and read all of them because I do want to annotate them. Okay, if the lighting looks different and the angle looks different, it is because it is 4 hours later. I was editing this video, and number 1, I forgot an outro, and number 2, I completely forgot another book to mention. You guys, this month needs to be over. Like, I can't do the month of February anymore. Okay, so anyway, that book is Mr. Masters by T L Swan. I read this one on my Kindle after I read the Miles High Club because I love T L Swan stuff. Like, it's addicting. So Mr. Masters is an age gap romance, and it is a nanny and her employer. So the nanny is Brielle. She's an Australian, and she gets a work visa to go be a nanny in London, while she thinks that she's going to become a nanny for a Mrs. Masters. So she arrives in London, and a man picks her up at the airport, and it is Mr. Masters. He is a judge. He's very well respected. He's very wealthy, and he's very sexy. So you have a little bit of a taboo forbidden romance. I loved Brielle's relationship with the kids, especially the teenage daughter. She had a lot of issues going on, and the book went very deep with it, and I loved it, and I rated it, I think, 4.5 out of 5 stars. So yes, that was Mr. Masters. Okay, and then I read Hush Darling on my Kindle. I talked about this in my Mountain Men Rex, so I won't get much into it, but this does kind of have Archer's Voice vibes. So you have a male protagonist who is deaf, and our female is a runaway who is pregnant. She runs away from her scary mafia husband, and she ends up hiding out in these cabin rental properties that Tanner, our male protagonist, he owns. And he finds her squatting in them, and he helps her out, and it was a very intense story. It gave me a lot of anxiety because the entire time I was reading it, I did not want Gianna, our leading lady, to get caught, and it was just a very pure love between her and Tanner. You have your small town vibes. Like I said, it really reminded me of Archer's Voice, especially because the people in the town don't like Tanner. He's misunderstood, and Gianna is, you know, the sweet new girl and everything, and I just love this one. It was a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Okay, and then I read the first book in the Zodiac Academy series, The Awakening. I actually am buddy reading this series, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm really glad I am, because every single one of these books ends in a cliffhanger, and the final book is not set out to come out until December of this year, so I'm glad that we are spacing this out. So I read The Awakening, and I thought this book did a really good job at setting up the world and setting up the characters. A lot of the times, fantasy books, the world building and info dumping goes straight over my head. I don't have the best reading comprehension, so this book, easy peasy, easy to follow. It is definitely Harry Potter for adults. You have 4 houses, but it's the elementals, it's your zodiac signs. what I loved about this one is Darcy and Tori, our leading characters, they are Geminis. I am a Gemini, so throughout all of their books they get their daily horoscope, so it's like kind of fun to see my daily horoscope. So yes, Gemini superiority here. And this one was 4 out of 5 stars for me. I'm so excited to continue on the series. Okay, and then really quick, I need to have a good laugh about this next one because I bought this book back in October, and when I ordered it, I was apprehensive about it because it's very overhyped, and I will be honest, I'm not a big overhyped book kind of gal. Colleen Hoover books for me, I like some of them, others I find a little overrated, and I feel that way about a lot of other books. And so this one, the premise of it, the blurb, just none of it was doing it for me. And so I put a poll on my Instagram for Valentine's Day. I'm like, help me pick a book that has a heart on the cover. Everybody picked this one, so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go into it. And then a friend of mine was like, you know what, just do it, get it over with, and have fun with it, laugh and drag it. And then the worst thing in the world happened, and I absolutely fucking loved and devoured every single inch of this book. I'm gonna start by saying that if my book friends that I talk to daily, if they would have told me that the couple in this book are very big comic book geeks, specifically Marvel, where they diss DC, excuse me? I mean, are you like actually kidding me? I'm sorry, I had to. My entire like world of serotonin, you guys, is books and Disney and Star Wars and Marvel. Like, when I tell you I eat, sleep, and breathe Marvel, I'm not kidding. I have a countdown calendar on my desk back there for the Multiverse of Madness and Thor Love and Thunder and Wakanda Forever. I even have the Disney Plus schedule up there, you guys. And no one told me that this couple, you guys, my husband and I are huge comic book geeks. Like, that's our marriage, that's our relationship. One of our first dates together was a trip to the arcade and then to go see Iron Man 3 in the theaters. I kid you not. Daily, I will text him like funny MCU memes. That is our marriage. We are best friends. And nobody told me about any of that. But anyway, okay, other than rambling on about that, I love this book. When you talk about soulmates and best friends, I ate up this book. And other than the geeky Marvel thing, Lily Calloway is my book soulmate. I have read a few inner dialogue for female characters where I'm like, okay, this girl is me. This girl was 100% me, because I'm not a sex addict or anything, but I do struggle with my own things in life, and it was just very, very refreshing to read about a character who is not perfect and, you know, has to ghost people a lot of the times and just kind of keeps to themselves with their partner. And like I said, I ate this shit up. I love this. I cannot wait to continue on the series. And I totally get what people say about being obsessed with the characters, because the other couples, just their characters were introduced in this book, and I was eating this shit up. One of my favorite scenes in this book was Lily and Lo explaining Earth 616 to Reich, and it going completely over his head, and I'm like, oh my god, I love this stuff because I know what they're talking about. I understand it all. Give me more, please. So I'm hoping there are more geeky references in the rest of Lily and Lo's books, because if there are, ugh, I'm just gonna be eating it up. Okay, and then I read The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. I also talked about this on my Mountain Men Rex. A lot of people have read this one, so I won't talk too much about this, but this one is single POV. You follow Calla. Calla recently finds out that her estranged father is dying with cancer, and she has not seen him since she was 2 years old, so she leaves her home in Toronto to fly to Alaska out in the wilderness to basically get a little bit of a relationship with her father before he passes. Her father owns this small plane company, and when she arrives, she is picked up by one of his best pilots, Jonah. And when Jonah sees her and sees how high maintenance looking she is, he is not all for that, and he kind of treats her like crap. And what I loved about this book is this is one of those ones where he's such a jackass, but everyone in the town loves him except her. And he's nice to everyone but her. So I ate this shit up. This was a little bit of a tearjerker in the end. I did cry, but I loved it. It was wholesome, 4 out of 5. This is a series. You can end it here totally, but it does leave it. So if you want to continue on, I want to continue on. So yes, 4 out of 5. Loved it. And then on my Kindle, I read Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. Also talked about this in my Mountain Men recommendation videos. This was rom-com. It's a new release. It was fucking hilarious. I was laughing so much reading this one. This one is a little bit different in the sense of our hero. What was her name? Oh my god. Holy. Give me a minute. Naomi. Her name was Naomi. Okay, so Naomi gets a message from her evil twin sister that she is in desperate need of some money. Please come to town, come help me. Naomi arrives in town, and while she is getting coffee, her sister steals her car with her purse and money inside. After Naomi finds all of this out and goes back to her hotel and sees it trashed because her sister showed up there and stole some things out of there too. Her sister also left behind her 11-year-old daughter for her sister Naomi to raise. Now, while this is all going on, Knox, the town grump, he is the one that is driving Naomi around trying to figure out things, taking her to the hotel, her and her niece, and he feels sorry for them, gives them some lodging. This was very Grumpy Sunshine to the max. Like, so Sunshine, her nickname was Daisy because she had flowers in her hair, and he was beyond grumpy. Like, he was, like, the whole town hated him. He was so grumpy. So, but I loved this. I loved the interactions between him and Naomi's niece, Waylay. Waylay had a really crappy situation with what her mother dealt her, and this was just a really fun book. It was heartfelt. It was funny. It checked all the boxes for me, and it was a 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, and then I read Ruthless Faye, the second book in the Zodiac Academy series. This was even better than the first one. The stakes were higher. The boys' POV are added in this book, so you are gonna get a lot more. And when I say I am obsessed with these characters, I am obsessed with these characters. If you have a favorite twin, drop it down below. My favorite twin is Tori. I love her. Once again, tons of Zodiac references, especially the Geminis. Like I said, superiority for Geminis. We are very hated in the world, but you know what? I love us. We're just misunderstood, okay? You know what? We can adapt to any kind of friendship, all right? That's what I love about us. If you're a sad, melancholy person, hey, guess what? We can be sad with you. If you're happy and upbeat, yep, I'm gonna adapt and be that too. Yeah, I'll stop talking about Geminis now. Now this one ended in another cliffhanger. I rated this one a 4.5 out of 5 because the first one was great. This one obviously better because you're adding more to the story. I need to read book 3 like last week, so yes, there is crack in these books, you guys. I'm telling you. Okay, and then wrapping up my Kindle reads, I read Still Beating by Jennifer Hartmann. This is a dark romance. This one has started to take off since I believe last month. This one is a dual POV. You have Dean and Cora, And Dean is engaged to Cora's older sister. This is an enemies to lovers. They have hated each other since high school. At the beginning of the book, they are at Cora's sister's birthday party, and Dean and her sister leave early. Cora stays behind. I think what ends up happening is there's like no more Uber drivers for the night, so she has to call Dean to come and pick her up. Well, after he picks her up, their car gets pulled over to the side of the road and they both get kidnapped. They both wake up later, chained to opposite ends of the basement, and they're there for several weeks, and a lot of intense things happen to the both of them. They are forced to do things to each other in a very, very sick, twisted game, and it was very intense, and it was very heartfelt, and I loved it. I would have rated it a 5, however, I felt like the last 30-40% of the book really dragged on. I will be honest, I felt like they weren't kidnapped long enough in the book. Like, I felt like they got rescued too early. Because like I said, I just felt like the end dragged on a little bit, so it brought it down for me, but it was a 4 out of 5. I loved the story. It was very dark. Check out trigger warnings for it. It's not going to be for everybody. Alright, and then wrapping us up with the very final book I read was A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I don't know why it took me so long to get to this one in particular, considering how the last book ended. And I was waiting a long time for this one to arrive in the mail, and then it took me 2 months to get to it. With this being the second book in the series, I'm not going to talk much about this because obviously if you have read it, you know that the first book ends in a very, very big spoiler cliffhanger, so I'm really not going to talk really much about anything. Other than I love the banter in this. I love Poppy. She's so incredibly violent, and with her knives and her daggers, and I ate this shit up, and I'm really glad I did because the 4th book is coming out in just a few weeks, so I need to read the 3rd. I already pre-ordered the 4th. I am here for this. Now, the only thing is this took me about a week to read. This is about when my slump started. I think this was when Mercury retrograde happened, because the last week and a half has just been sucky for me. So I'm ready for a new month, you guys. I'm emotionally drained. I'm tired. I've cried a lot in the last week, and I think I physically can't cry anymore. So, yeah. Hi, me again. I forgot to do an outro video. You guys, this is just how done with the month of February I am. So, hit like, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!